The Nichi Bei Cafe crew sits down with community artist and entrepreneur Katie Furukawa Bonifacio to talk about her journey to working for herself.
Most of my professional career has been spent in retail management, and I worked for a really large sports retailer for more than 10 years. And so I worked in the management side of things. So I did everything from hiring to managing the stockroom, training sales associates, marketing, all of the business end of stuff, and merchandising was the other thing that kind of really got me hooked in to them, because it was an opportunity for me to do something creative and tell stories to people. So by the time I was 25, I was already managing a team of over 100 people, and I had been volunteering, and as you know, at the Northern California Cherry Blossom Festival doing their arts and crafts fair. And so I was on the other end of things and just recruiting vendors, and I'd seen how hard they worked and thought to myself, like, wow, that's too much work. I would never want to do that.
Thinking that she wanted to pursue project management, the pandemic, like for all of us, gave her some time to reflect and think about her next steps.
And so then I spent some time during the pandemic just saving a lot of money so that I could take a career risk. And then when it came time to actually go do it, I kind of chickened out and decided that it would be easier to just work for myself. January of 2022, I decided that I was gonna go all in on this, and I was working the retail schedule, so I didn't have nights and weekends, and I knew that if I was going to sell at craft fairs, which at the time was the thing I was most familiar with, then I would need weekends off. And so I quit my job and just kind of went all in. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do something that aligns more with what makes me happy, and hopefully that will transmit, and I will find the people who also like those things. So I started sewing stuff and sewing things that were smaller than quilts, because quilts take a really long time to finish. And I was lucky enough to get a spot at the Cherry Blossom Festival that year and shared a booth with my friend Sarah. So I had a little table set up, and I had my cards, and I had a couple of things I had sewn, and people really responded to it, and they really liked all the fabrics that I was using. And a lot of the fabrics that I started out with were fabrics that I had taken from my mom's stash and my auntie's stash, and just Japanese fabrics that people had collected in the last 20, 30 years, and it was just kind of sitting around in a box, and I said, can I do something with it? But now I'm to the point where I'm buying fabrics by the bolt and working with somebody to bring whole bolts of fabric from Japan. So now it's I really like curating the fabrics, and it's a different process. Instead of digging around in people's attics, I'm looking at swatches, but I have to plan 6 months out.
Katie discusses what her typical products look like today.
A lot of the things that I sew to sell are home goods and accessories. And I think I kind of found those two niches because I grew up with a lot of handcrafted stuff in my house.
In Katie's spare time, she nurtures new makers in her sewing class at the Japanese Cultural and Community Center in Northern California in San Francisco's Japantown, as she explains.
And so the programs department at the center, they really wanted to get a sewing series off the ground, and they approached me and said, hey, I know that you're getting into doing your own thing. Would you be interested in teaching? And so we worked together to kind of develop the program. We were able to get a grant from the Takahashi Foundation to purchase all of the sewing machines and tools at the center. And so now we have all of the foundations that we need, and really now the only thing that we have to purchase usually is the thread and the fabric. I view a lot of what I do with my sewing classes is kind of my contribution to the community, and also building the community of people that I want to have. And so if I want to have a lot of friends who are makers and who sew and do creative things, then I need to foster that. And so this is my way of doing that.
We hope her maker community and her business grows in the future. If you want to check out what Katie is up to, she is tabling it the schedule on your screen, or follow her on Instagram and check out her website for more products and information. And don't forget to check her out at the sewing class at www.jcccnc.org. This is Greg Valoria for the Nichi Bei Cafe.